Hey everybody, I'm Wade. Today we're doing a 10, maybe 15-minute stretch break. But before we start, I have a few announcements for you about what's going on the rest of the day today. If you're coming into the center, we have 5:45 p.m. cycling with Alicia. So feel free to sign up with that. On our website, you can get directions to get there. 7 p.m. we have HIIT on Facebook Live. That will be with Tony and Elena. So if you want to get a pretty intense workout in, feel free to join us for HIIT. As we start stretch today, I'm going to have you grab something laying around the house that happens to be softball-ish. I have a softball here, right off camera. I found a flashlight you could use. You could use a cup that's pretty sturdy. You're going to be putting your body weight and your leg on it. So it doesn't have to be a softball. It can be a lacrosse ball. If you have a foam roller, you can do a foam roller. That's usually what this is supposed to be done with, but a softball works great. Our first thing we're going to be doing is coming down to the ground. And before I get down there, I'm going to show you where you're rolling this. We're going to be rolling out our hamstrings. So right above the knee, you're going to focus kind of all the way to the knee to about halfway up. We're going to get our hamstrings coming down one leg at a time. Placing that leg on the softball, on your cup, on your flashlight, or on your foam roller. And you'll keep that pressure, just rolling your hamstrings back and forth. And what you're looking for right now is somewhere that feels a little bit tender. If you're going side to side a little bit, maybe you rotate your foot in or rotate your foot out and you say, that's really tender. That's probably a spot where you'd want to keep just a little extra pressure. Usually that means that you're a little bit knotted up there, and keeping some pressure there can hopefully relieve some of that. And you'll find that this is going to help your flexibility. If you're going to lift weights right after this, it would help your strength, your power, helps injury prevention. So a ton of benefit to foam rolling. And we'll spend about 30 to 40 seconds on each side, just rolling out there. And you can look around for those spots that feel a little bit more tender. For me, it's usually closer to the knee I'll feel. People will feel different things all over them. But when you finish that leg, go ahead and switch sides. We're going to start rolling out the opposite side. And if you're trying to roll all of your hamstrings are pretty big muscles. You'll find them kind of all across the back there. So you're welcome to move your foot around, so you can have your foot straight up. And if you move your foot to the side, you'll find that you'll hit a different part of your hamstring. If you move your foot to the inside, you'll find that you hit a different part of your hamstring. So you'll have different spots everywhere. You may have one spot over this way, one spot over this way, none in the middle, but feel free to just keep that tension on those tender spots. And if you need to pause this video, you found a tender spot that's not going away, you can spend a couple minutes foam rolling. So feel free to pause if you need to, but if you feel like you're ready to go, we'll move on to some stretching. We're doing just a little bit of rolling today, and next time we'll probably do even more rolling. So our first one here is a hamstring stretch. You'll bring that left leg in, trying to make kind of a 4 with your leg, and then you'll have hand over hand, reaching out, trying to touch your toes. You'll feel the stretch in your back, in your hamstrings. You might have done this one in elementary school. You might have done this one in sports when you were younger. If you're still young, you still might do it in sports. It's a great stretch. But hand over hand, trying to reach for that foot. And we'll spend about 20 to 30 seconds. You'll find some people can bring their nose all the way down to their knee. You can use those hands to help pull you just a little further if you want. Just make sure that you're keeping your hamstrings relaxed, your hips relaxed. You don't want to have tension in these areas that you're trying to stretch and gain some flexibility in. So try and relax your legs as you slowly lean forward, and then we'll switch sides. Our goal is about 20 to 30 seconds on each side, doing that exact same thing, hand over hand, and bending forward. You can have your hands on your shin, on your toe. They can kind of pull you. But right now, again, your goal is to relax the hips and the hamstrings. Relaxed muscles will stretch further than tight muscles and tense muscles. So if you need to take a deep breath and then slowly exhale out as you stretch, you may find that actually helps you stretch a little bit further, allowing your body to relax and kind of use your breath to help you relax a little bit. But once you finish that leg, we'll move into a butterfly pose, bringing your feet together and all the way in. And sometimes you'll hear people say you can use your elbows to push your legs down. If you're bringing your feet in and focusing on tightening your core, lifting your head up tall, I don't have to use my elbows to push them down anymore, but you're welcome to if you want. So everybody has different areas where they're a little more flexible, and today is focused primarily all on hips And in 10 to 15 minutes, I was trying to think, how can I get in all the hip things that I want to get in? So pigeon pose is an awesome pose, and we're gonna spend a lot of time on that one. In that pose, you get almost everything. So that's why that is a big focus today, is so that you can get in all those areas in the hips, inside, outside, rotators, all that kind of stuff. So once you finish that butterfly pose, we'll move into a squat stretch. So squat stretch, you have a few options for. Your toes should be pointed pretty much straight ahead. If you want them to have a little angle to them, they can. We have a secondary option on this where you can open up your knees. And for that, I like to have my toes pointed out just a little bit. But if you want to have your toes pointed straight ahead, you're welcome to. And you're just going to drop your hips all the way down and kind of sit there and sink into it. So this pose will look different for everybody. If you want to do that secondary option, you can use your hands to open up your legs. If that feels like a bit much and just maintaining this is hard enough for you, feel free to hang out there. There's no need to add that extra into it. For some people, this can be a really good stretch. You can hang out here for a while. Some people, it's not an easy stretch. So do what you can, but we'll do about another 10 seconds here. This one is for the glutes, for the hips. It's a great one before we start pigeon because it warms up all the things we're about to do. And finish right there. So pigeon, I'll spend quite a bit of time describing this. The goal is that we're doing this one as correctly as possible. A lot of people will do pigeon and just kind of fall into it and hope that it's pretty close, but we're going to do as much as we can to keep your hips pointed straight ahead. We're actually going to use a block, so even if you've never used a block before, you can place towels, blankets, pillows, maybe some toys or that kind of stuff. Just make sure it's not too hard that it actually hurts you. But you're going to place this under your hip as you transition into that pigeon. So I'll have you set that right next to you, on your hands and your knees right now. And you're going to bring that right leg forward. This is going to be under your hip. And you're going to allow yourself to kind of sit on that. And with your leg across, what should be touching the ground right now is the outside of your shin and the outside of your hip. So you don't want the top of your thigh and the top of your shin touching the ground. You want, hopefully, right on the outside. All this should be touching the ground as you shift to the side there. And placing that block under your hips is going to help you stay there a little bit better. Another error you'll see during pigeon pose a lot, sometimes I also do this error depending on how tight my hips happen to be that day, or if I have anything to help me modify, is you'll see that a lot of people do their pigeon pose like this, very forward. Right now, the center of my gravity is all forward. It's kind of pulling me forward. If I take my arms out, I'll just fall over. So what you want to do in a pigeon pose is sit back into your hips. Keep all of the weight in your hips so that if you have your hands on your head, you feel like you can be strong, you can be stable, you can stay there without having to have your arms support you. So having your arms support you is an awesome option on this. But right now, the goal is to stretch the hips, open the hips, work the hips. So you want to center all of that weight in the hips. So the outside of your shin, outside of your thigh, your back leg is facing down. The top of your thigh and the top of your shin should be back there. And then you can have your hands there to support you. You can lift your hands off, kind of test your core balance, strength. Make sure that you have that weight centered over the hips. And you'll see a lot of people start to lean forward with this one. If you have that weight centered in the hips, the way we're doing it today, we're going to actually try not to lean forward and just allow those hips to sink in, relax, and sit back. If you remove that block, you'll find that your hips can sink just a little bit deeper. But doing awesome. Feel free to comment below to let me know you're here. I'm glad to be helping you guys today. Hi, Maggie. Working on those hips. All that weight centered over the hips. We'll spend about 20 more seconds here. This is our most important stretch today. This is helping the hip flexors, the psoas muscle on that back leg. It's helping the glutes, a lot of your leg rotators on that right leg. If you have tight hips almost anywhere, this has a stretch somewhere in the pose for you. So a lot of people will have tight hip flexors, so you'll feel that back in this back leg. Some people will have tight glutes, tight rotators, so that's going to help you in the front leg. Go ahead and switch sides. You'll place that on the left side here. And doing those exact same steps to get started, starting on your hands and knees. This will be placed right under your hips. And you're placing the outside leg and outside shin on the ground. Your knee should be pointed pretty much straight ahead, and your back leg should be top of your thigh and top of your shin down. You'll find a lot of people on this one also start to tilt to the side. You'll see that my hips are pointed that direction when I want them pointed straight at the camera. So ideally, everything in your body is pointing straight ahead with your knee. And if you need more support under your hip, you can flip that block up, or you can add more pillows, more blankets, and that'll help you stay a little straighter ahead. But those are usually the two things I see in class that most people will have issues with. All their weight in their hands to the point where they're gonna fall forward if their hands fell off, or opening up to the side and not really stretching as much as they can through the hips. We'll spend another 30 seconds here, and as we're hanging out here, I'll have you guys continue to hold that pigeon pose. I'm gonna talk a little bit about our word of the day. So if you're a member here, you have a chance to win a mobility kit, which will help with a lot of this kind of stuff. You have a chance to win a food scale, or you have a chance to win a resistance band kit just by sending the word of the day to megan.powell@hfitcenter.com. I'll put that in the comments afterwards so you kind of have a link for it. Word of the day today is optimism. The power of optimism, trying to use optimism as a way to just be a little bit more positive about your life. Anytime that you think positive thoughts, it usually has positive implications for you. Out of everything you can do, optimism has one of the greatest impacts on success and happiness. So that's our word of the day today. Email that to Megan, or if you happen to be coming into the center, you can let the front desk know and you'll get your chance to win. But when you finish with that pigeon pose, just slide those legs out or come to the side. You should be feeling a lot of that. I feel it a lot through the outside of the hips. If you happen to have tight hip flexors, you may have felt that on the top part of your thighs or into the hip flexors. But awesome job today. Not a whole lot of stretches, but a lot of bang for your buck in that pigeon pose. If you have any questions, or you felt like maybe I was just a little bit off, feel free to come by the center, ask some of us about it. You can also let me know, and I'll be able to let you know. But, great to see you guys. Hopefully we'll see you again soon.